Hello and welcome to 200 North Main. I am your host, Julie Rio, the Adult Programming and Community Services Librarian at the library. And on this program, we talk about all the wonderful things that are going on at the Wallingford Public Library, located, guess where? 200 North Main Street in Wallingford, Connecticut. And joining me today is the head of Children's Services for the library, Sunnie Scarpa, who is my co-host and the laugher at all of my jokes.
True.
Welcome,
That's true.
Sunnie.
Thank you. True story.
Yes, very true. So how are you today, Sunnie?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. So today I understand you brought with you some artifacts, and we're going to talk about the history of the Wallingford Public Library. So tell me, what is this on the table in front?
Yes.
Or am I skipping ahead?
Well, this is from the precursor of our modern public library, the original book of the Ladies Library Association, where they kept track of all the books in the library in their beautiful antique script.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So every May, actually, in the spring, we have third graders come through for a history-specific tour. They go to the Historical Society, the firehouse, or the police department, I'm not sure, and then they come to the library. We talk about the history of the library. So I thought it might be fun to share that information with grown-ups as well, because I find it fascinating myself. And it also pairs really well with Women's History Month, because it was women from Wallingford who started the original library.
Excellent. And what year was that?
This was in 1881. They started the Ladies Library Association, and it was a membership-only library at that time. So before the idea of public libraries was really well known, several towns had membership libraries. You paid dues to join. They took all that money and used it to buy books. Started off as a volunteer organization. Later, they also used money to hire the first librarian many years in the future. And they started off just very humbly. They had within the group, they had $1,000 to start. They were able to buy just over 1,300 books with that money.
Well, I was going to say, $1,000 in those days was a pretty large budget.
Back in the day. And I'm assuming they had a lot of donations as well to start with.
Donations of books, you mean. Yeah.
Yep. And the one fun thing is that the library has always been right downtown. So it started out in the Congregational Church with just a borrowed room that they were able to use. Later, they needed a little bit more space, and they rented rooms in the Wallace Block, which is the side of the street where Archie Moore's is.
Okay.
So the iconic green awnings, it was in that block right there.
Oh.
Later, they needed a little more space, but they didn't go very far. They went right across the street to what was then known as the Wallace Block.
Okay.
Where, no, the Simpsons Black. Simpsons Black.
Okay.
That is where Mr. D's is. That's the landmark we tell the kids about, because obviously all the kids in town know where Mr. D's is. Yep.
I think all the adults too.
Yeah. Yes. So Simpsons Black, it was named for the owner, Samuel Simpson.
Okay.
His daughter, Martha Dee Simpson, was one of the original ladies of the Ladies Library Association.
Oh, okay.
And he becomes a really important figure in the library's history several years down the road. He was a wealthy businessman in town. He was a co-owner of one of the silver companies. So this area was really known for their silver industry.
Okay.
His daughter, unfortunately, passed away at a young age.
Oh.
So in her memory, he provided the funds in the late 1890s. I believe it was 1899 the building was finished. So by that point, they had realized they had grown large enough they really needed their own dedicated space. And not only did he provide the funds to build from scratch the original library building, he also provided enough money to fill out the shelves with books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he was kind of like our town's own Andrew Carnegie. You know, they talk about the famous Carnegie libraries across this area of the country, but Samuel Simpson was our Carnegie. And that's the building that is now the library Wine Bar and Bistro.
Okay.
It was added on to later. They didn't have a children's room originally, so that downstairs area that's a banquet hall now, that was added later, and that was the children's space back there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's neat.
so that holds really wonderful memories for us. In our library, which was built in the early 80s, we still have Samuel Simpson's portrait. It's over the fireplace in the children's room.
Okay.
You've probably walked past it, seen it a million times.
I have probably walked past it 1,000 times and never stopped to look at it. Isn't that funny how we just kind of take things for granted? But now tomorrow, I'm going to go and look at that portrait.
Yes, next time you'll see it. So we have Samuel Simpson's portrait over the fireplace, and then if you look in one of their children's study rooms, we also have a portrait of Martha Dee Simpson. Oh. And it's there only because we had limited wall space, and we needed them to be to both be in areas that don't get direct sunlight.
Yes.
So the study room, it's not meant to, have her be less prominent. It's because that was one of the few areas where her portrait would be protected from that sunlight.
And is that a painted portrait?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. They're really fabulous. Once you know the history of who those people were, I kind of smile every time I walk by.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's the history. Of course, our building that we're in now, it was built in 1982 and then completely renovated in 2008.
Yes, I remember that. I didn't work at the library then. I've only been at the library for about a year, as you know. But I've been a resident of Wallingford since 1998. And so I remember going to visit the old library, well, not that old library, and then I remember the renovation in 2008. And you could hardly recognize the difference in the two libraries.
I wasn't here yet, but when we do the tour for the third graders, we show pictures and we kind of walk around and talk about, well, this is where the original building ended. This is where we added on. And, they're so young. They know nothing about it. They're just like, wow, it got a lot bigger. We have even more books, It's really fun. Another fun fact is that we still have staff members working at the library currently who worked at the original library building down the street. So when the Gouveia family bought that with the intention of turning it into the wine bar, Jane actually arranged for us to have a little tour. And they were nice enough to really spend time with us before it was open and talk about the history, what was original, what had been changed over the years, and how they had they really brought the building back to life.
Yeah, that's
And the staff members who had worked there were telling us, oh, this is where the periodicals were. This is the dumbwaiter. We used to put books, because they didn't necessarily have an elevator back then. Yeah. But they would put the books in the dumbwaiter so they didn't have to carry them up all the stairs. And it was really fun.
Yeah,
it was really fun.
That is neat. Now, how long have you worked for the library, Sunnie?
I've been here, I think it's going on 5 years.
Excellent.
Yes, yes.
And we are very lucky to have you because the children's programming at the library is just wonderful. And the team that you've assembled, Carrie and Alyssa and Allison are just, stellar.
We're really fortunate.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So nowadays, even though we are now a public library, you do not have to pay anything to get your library card. There is still the opportunity to become a member of the library. And it means something different now than it did in the beginning. Yeah. So it has nothing to do with access. Anyone who lives in town can get a free library card and access everything we have.
as well as all of the resources at other public libraries in Connecticut.
Yes.
That's a wonderful thing that Connecticut offers, is that your public library card is valid at any public library in the state. They may have to add you into their computer system, but you can borrow books and use the computers at any other public library in the state, and that's a great service.
That is a very convenient service, especially for families who may have grandparents in other towns and whatnot.
Yes.
But
true.
for those people who would like to sort of be a sustaining member of the library, there's also the opportunity to become a member. And those people, they make a small donation every year.
Membership at the Wallingford Public Library starts at $10 a year. And for more than 135 years, the Wallingford Public Library, as a registered nonprofit 501c3, has relied on its membership to support the library. Now, we do receive contributions from the town, but the contributions from its membership enable us to continue to serve and inspire all of Wallingford's families and individuals.
And I believe more information about that is on our website,
yes,
right? If people want to know the details about that.
Yes, it is. And the association is led by a board of managers, which is 15 Wallingford residents who are elected by the association from the membership, and they're residents of Wallingford. And they govern the Wallingford Public Library. They sponsor special programs. They inform the public about the wonderful things that we do at the library. They help us to promote fundraising, and they also work to impact library legislation, locally and on the state level. And so people who want to join the Public Library Association should definitely call the library at 203-265-6754, or you can go on our website, which is wallingfordlibrary.org, and become a member right on the spot, or there's a form that you can print out and mail in and become a member of the library. It is, aside from having your library card, it's an extra way to support the library and the wonderful things that we do. So, and also, I should mention another benefit of becoming a member of the association is that you get to attend the annual meeting in October. And there you get to vote on library business, and also we usually have some kind of entertainment.
It is. It's a wonderful time for people to get together, talk about the library, and really have an impact on something that the whole community can benefit from.
So I want to take a break right now, and before we do, I have to ask you a question.
Okay.
Why was the Tyrannosaurus Rex afraid to go to the library? Oh. Think about that, and when we come back, we're going to talk about One Book, One Wallingford. Why was the Tyrannosaurus Rex afraid to go to the library?
I can't imagine.
Hello and welcome back to 200 North Main. I'm Julie Rio and I'm joined today by Sunnie Scarpa. And before we left for the break, Sunnie, I asked you, why was the Tyrannosaurus Rex afraid to go to the library?
I have no idea.
Because his books were 65 million years overdue.
Very nice, very nice.
See, I told you she was the laugher at my jokes. So in this segment, Sunnie, I'd like to talk about One Book, One Wallingford.
I'm very excited about this.
Yes, I am too. It started about 20 years ago when a librarian named Nancy Pearl, who Nancy Pearl, she's kind of a rock star in the library world. She asked the question, what would happen if everyone in Seattle read the same book and then got together to talk about it? And that model has been going around the country in hundreds of cities around the country. And it really is great. And this year is our inaugural One Book, One Wallingford. And the book we've chosen is The Reason You're Alive by Matthew Quick, which was published in 2017 by Harper. And the novel is about 68-year-old Vietnam veteran David Granger, who is a right-wing, steak-loving, heavy smoker with a home arsenal of guns, a liberal son, and an adored 7-year-old granddaughter. He dresses in camouflage, is loudly and repeatedly profane, and goes on rants about the government. But when his surgery for a recently diagnosed brain tumor triggers memories of his poor treatment of a fellow soldier during the war, David is determined to right this wrong. It's really a timely novel about a compassionate story about a complex man who is trying to find his way in a divided America. And now I know that you read the book, Sunnie.
Yes, I did.
So what did you think?
Well, right away I thought, I completely understand why this book was chosen.
Yes.
It's a book that evokes really strong feelings. Throughout the course of the book, sometimes I felt angry, sometimes I felt, happy. I came to really feel for all the different characters. The characters are really all over the map, you know. They're all very different from one another. The way that they relate to one another is really interesting. And it's a book you have strong feelings about, which makes the best kind of book club book.
Exactly.
You know, it's a book when people get together to talk about it. They're going to have all different perspectives and feelings. It will not be a dull conversation.
No, definitely not. And the exciting thing about One Book, One Wallingford is that the author, Matthew Quick, is coming here to Wallingford on Wednesday, April 4th at 7:00 p.m. at the Paul Mellon Art Center. He's going to talk about his book, about his writing. He's going to answer questions from the audience, and then he's going to do a book signing.
That is
and
so
I should
exciting.
mention that free tickets are still available at the Wallingford Public Library, as well as you can purchase a copy of the book or borrow a copy from the library. And we're hoping that everyone in town reads the book. And then let's get together and talk about it. We'll hear what Matthew has to say. I know it's a very personal story for him because the book is dedicated to his Uncle Pete. Who himself was a Vietnam veteran and was very close with Matthew until his uncle passed away a few years ago. So we'll hear about that, and we'll hear a lot about David, I think, the main character in the book, and his compassion, and how through the book we learn to have empathy for him and his story.
Yes. Now, Matthew Quick has, if viewers aren't aware of him, he has a number of well-known books for both adults and young adults.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people have heard of the movie that was based on his book, Silver Linings Playbook.
The Silver Linings Playbook was his debut novel.
Oh, really?
And it was made into an Academy Award-winning movie.
Great
starring
movie.
Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro. And he also has 3 other books for adults. The Good Luck of Right Now, Love May Fail, and also 3 books for young adults. I'm sorry, 4 books for young adults. Sorta Like a Rock Star, Boy 21, Forgive Me Leonard Peacock, and Every Exquisite Thing. So yeah, he's written 8 novels in total, and they'll all be for sale at the book signing.
Perfect.
So if you'd like to pick up your favorite and have him autograph it, he'd be happy to do that for you.
That's exciting.
And so I should also mention that it was a group of librarians and community members who got together to choose the book. And we met for several months and reviewed several books and authors. We wanted an author who would come to Wallingford and share their writing experience with us. And so I want to mention who was on the committee.
Oh, awesome.
Mike Brunges, who is a community member, Sally Darrow with the YMCA, Jane Fisher, who you know as the director of the Wallingford Public Library, Tarn Granucci, who is the editor of Wallingford Magazine and the poet laureate of Wallingford, just to name a few of his accomplishments, Cindy Haken, who's our Reader's Advisory Specialist, and you may remember from the September episode of 200 North Main, Courtney Jaser, who's with the Andrew Mellon Library at Choate, Carol Mikulski, who's on the library's Board of Managers, Rosemary Pilch from the Literacy Volunteers of Greater New Haven, Jennifer Tuleja from Choate, and Deborah Volker from the Wallingford Senior Center, and me.
That's a nice cross-section of people.
It
No
really
wonder.
was.
You made a great choice. No wonder.
Yeah, we worked together really hard to come up with what we thought would be a good book for the inaugural events. And I think we picked a book, that we were able to do a lot of programming around.
Definitely.
And have some rich discussion about. And speaking of discussion, we have several planned over the next month. I just want to grab my notes to make sure I get the dates correct. So on Monday, March 12th at 4 o'clock at the Wallingford Senior Center, which is at 238 Washington Street. Thursday, March 15th at 7 p.m. at the library, the Wallingford Public Library, and Tuesday, March 27th at 7 o'clock p.m. at the Wallingford Public Library. And those three discussions are going to be led by Cindy Haken.
Oh, wonderful.
The Reader's Advisory Specialist at the Wallingford Public Library.
She's great at that, and she also usually brings baked goodies to share.
Oh,
it's
boy.
A little extra added bonus.
Sunnie has thrown down the gauntlet.
Yes. She's on the hook.
Yes, oh, definitely. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The thing that amazes me about Cindy is that she can read a book and have complete recollection of it. Now, I've read this book, The Reason You're Alive, twice. The second time I read it, there were things I didn't even remember happened. But Cindy has that recollection. She'll say, on page 25, don't you remember when this happened? And so that's why she's really a wonderful resource for the patrons at the library, most definitely. Then we're also going to have some discussions led by Mike Brunges, who lives in Wallingford, and he's here to establish a new Presbyterian church. And he's going to have some discussions on the intersection of faith and spirituality in The Reason You're Alive.
There's a lot to talk about there, for sure.
Yes, there is, definitely. And those are going to be both on Monday, March 19th, one at 10 a.m. at the Wallingford Senior Center, and the other one at 7 p.m. at the Eatery, which is on South Colony Road.
Nice.
And that's a great place, very comfortable and great food. So. And I should also mention that we're having this event in memory of Patricia Giuliano.
Oh,
did you know Pat?
Yes, yes. She was a member of our board, wasn't she?
Yes,
for years. Yeah.
She passed away last April, and so we decided to hold this event in memory of her.
That's wonderful.
And I think everyone who knew her, unfortunately I did not have the pleasure of meeting her, but everyone who knew her thinks that this would be a great honor for her because she so enjoyed books and reading. She was a dedicated English teacher, and she taught at Sheehan High School for 25 years. And when she retired, she was looking for a way to channel her energies, and that's when she became a volunteer at the library. So she volunteered in our bookseller, and she was also on the board of managers.
That's really a lovely tribute.
Yeah. And after we scheduled the event, we found out that April 4th, the night that Matthew Quick is coming to Wallingford, was her birthday.
You're kidding me. And that was a coincidence.
That was a complete coincidence.
That's serendipity.
But isn't that a nice tribute?
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So I just want to say that, let's see, I had a quote here that I wanted to read. Bookpage said about The Reason You're Alive that it's narrated with ire and eloquence by David Granger. It's as if Holden Caulfield, the main character from J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye, it's as if Holden Caulfield grew up to be a reflective, even soulful Archie Bunker. It's a touching, old-fashioned drama about the ties that sometimes choke but always bind. Isn't that a great, love that.
That's a fabulous quote.
That is a fabulous quote.
And who can't relate to that?
Exactly.
That's wonderful.
Exactly. So, what else did I want to say about the book? I just want to look at my notes and make sure that I've touched on everything. I just want to tell you, recently it was my birthday, Sunnie.
Oh, congrats.
And my mother bought me 2 gifts. She bought me a dictionary and a thesaurus. The dictionary was so cheap, I couldn't find the words to thank her.
I see what you did there.
And the thesaurus was the world's worst. Not only was it terrible, but it's terrible.
Oh.
Anyway, so as always.
That's a good one.
Yes, thank you. Sunnie is the only one who I know will laugh at my jokes. So as always, if you have any questions about anything we've discussed here or anything going on at the Wallingford Public Library, please visit wallingfordlibrary.org or call 203-265-6754. And thank you for joining us for 200 North Main. And thank you, Sunnie, for being here.
It's been a pleasure.
It always is. It's always great when we get together. And we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday, April 4th at 7:00 p.m. at the Paul Mellon Arts Center for an evening with author Matthew Quick, author of The Reason You're Alive, the One Book, One Wallingford selection. And remember to pick up your free ticket to the event, and you can either purchase or borrow a copy of the book from the library. And we look forward to seeing you at the Wallingford Public Library, where our doors open to endless possibilities. Until next time.